Day after day, Neo would begin the morning with some kind of chore. Sweep this, clean that, stack this, fix that, and finish by studying magic in the afternoon until late in the evening. The old wizard taught Neo how to manipulate the world around him and control the flow of mana through his body. All child's play in the grand scheme, yet Neo's prodigious progress was completely unheard of. By Maze's design, the training was rigorous and exhausting. He could see the boy held immense potential, continuously astounded by it as he was, and dedicated his efforts in pushing him to his limit. However, despite all of this, Neo was tilting towards a path of self-destruction. Maze could see the hatred that the boy carried in his heart, intertwined with his grief. So much so, it began to corrupt his magic. Maze knew what he had to do. On such a normal day, Neo settled into his seat after having completed his work and quietly watched Maze with rapt attention, the eagerness clear on his countenance. Taking a sip from his mushroom tea, Maze sighed and held the boy's gaze, charmed by his enthusiasm. His face yet fell.
What's wrong? Am I failing my training?
Oh, no, my dear boy. You are certainly not failing your training. However, you walk a dangerous path, and I must warn you. I see that you are struggling. I understand what you feel, and it is natural. But your hatred is warping your heart and corrupting your magic. Until this is resolved, I cannot continue your instruction.
I don't understand. I thought you were gonna guide me to help me overcome.
Indeed I am. But the path you walk is one of destruction, Neo. When left alone, hatred destroys everything in its path. Your soul is like a garden, but it is overrun with thorns and weeds of bitterness. I will not permit your potential to be suffocated.
So, you abandoned me. Am I to forget the betrayal of those who I thought to be my friends?
No. Continuing your training in this state would only lead to your undoing. You must confront the darkness within before we can proceed.
And if I refuse?
Then you will wander, lost and aimless, and trapped in a prison of your own making. I see immense potential for you, but life cannot flourish amidst a bed of thorns. So choose a path of destruction or that of transformation.
I don't know. The pain is so great.
I understand the difficulty, but true strength lies in confronting your pain and transcending it. You possess the power to change your destiny, to unshackle yourself from this. I will be your guide, but only if you are willing to confront the shadows. Are you, or are you not?
Yes.
Maze felt a measure of relief, but only so, for Neo's journey had only just begun. He then led the boy from his study and out into the woods, where darkness had since fallen and mist permeated the cool air. Neo followed the old wizard along a narrow and rocky path through the trees, his mind churning and his heart burning. Together they trekked along, guided by the light of the full moon, until finally they reached a small clearing inside which a pool of water resided. Reaching perhaps 10 meters in width, the pool was ankle deep and shimmered with a gleam of ethereal light. Standing at the edge of the water, Maze beckoned Neo over, and they both knelt, gazing into the placid surface of the water. Maze gestured, and Neo reached a hand forward.
It's warm.
This pool has been used to study magic for years. As a result, the soil beneath the water is imbued with energy. Now, look closely into the water.
The air began to tingle with energy as the old wizard gathered his mana and began to weave a spell into the water. The surface started to ripple and contort into strange shapes. Neo gazed deeply into the water, and suddenly his mind was taken captive. The pool deepened, resembling that of the ocean, and from within the darkness, the ghosts of his pain bubbled forth. Neo could hear the beat of his broken heart, like the deafening thunder of a summer storm. An image of his true self coalesced, and there he saw all that was him, both the light and the darkness within, and his deepest fears, regrets, and insecurities. Through the veil of the spell, Maze's voice could be heard, guiding him.
Here you see a reflection of yourself. Part of your journey towards healing is acceptance. Embrace who and what you are.
He gazed into the roiling depths, his consciousness almost entirely detached from his body, as his mind was surrounded by the mirage. By design, the spell would not release him until he conquered it. But the boy was stuck, and for what felt like ages, he struggled. Finally, the spell completed, and Neo fell back, winded. His heart still hurt, but the pain was less so.
I did it!
Yes, you did. But there is more yet ahead of you. Follow me.
The wizard helped Neo come to his feet, and once again he followed him down yet another path through the misty woods. Despite his exhaustion, Neo trudged along as they passed meadows, swamps, and creeks. After what felt like an hour, finally Maze came to a stop at the edge of a small meadow. Before them, on the other side, stood a dense tree line that appeared thicker and darker than the woods they had previously traversed. So dense, in fact, that it looked to be a wall of complete darkness, despite the full moon above. Maze quietly watched the tree line, standing completely still. Neo glanced back and forth, curious. A few moments passed as the silent mists enveloped them.
You are to traverse into that section of the forest alone. Inside, you will find illusions and ghosts of your past. This is where you will confront the shadows and put your hatred to rest.
Alone?
The only one who can complete this trial is you.
Maze once again tapped into his core and weaved yet another spell. He raised his arm and pointed at the dark forest, and at the tip of his finger, a glimmering point of light coalesced. He cast the spell forth, and the point of light launched from his finger and disappeared into the woods.
Go. Use what you have learned to aid in your journey. I will wait here.
Neo turned from Maze and looked across the clearing once again. Taking a deep breath, he steeled his wits and crossed the meadow. He drew closer to the edge, as if approaching a giant. He peered into the darkness, only a small amount of moonlight reaching the forest floor. And with another deep breath, he continued forward. It felt as if he had stepped into a different world. The air was heavy, yet empty. The darkness was palpable, yet translucent. And the silence was deafening, paling in comparison to the hush of the woods previous. Neo quietly and carefully ventured further, instinctively charging his mana together, ready to unleash. But he found nothing but immensely tall trees that were as straight as arrows, and an empty forest floor. There were no bushes, no weeds, no vines, just the trees, the dirt below, and complete and utter silence. But something shifted. Bumps formed on his skin as his hair stood on end.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Faint whispers echoed through the trees, and from the depths of the shadows, figures formed and lumbered forth. Neo stood his ground, and suddenly his hatred rushed to the surface as the faces of those who betrayed him assembled before him from within the darkness. He tightened his grip on his mana and ground his teeth.
You. I trusted you. But I suppose that meant nothing.
He stepped forward, preparing to strike as the illusions intensified, their forms growing more vivid and menacing. But he stopped, gazing ever more at the shadows, so twisted and corrupted they were. His resentment boiled, and yet he chose not to strike. His lip trembled as tears rolled down his cheeks.
I guess you were just afraid and you didn't understand.
He stood in a stalemate for a long time, surrounded by the shadows of his hatred, the illusions bearing the faces of those he once called friends. He recalled the memories of the past, the good and the bad. Slowly, he relaxed and chose forgiveness. The shadows warped and writhed until they settled and dissipated, the dirt beneath soaking in the darkness like rain draining into the parched desert, and with it, his hatred also. He sighed and felt as if a massive weight was lifted from his shoulders, one that he had carried for years, and so too did the air of the forest lighten. He was free of a prison he had constructed for himself and had been trapped in for a long time.